Welcome to Build Life Overland. I bought an RSI Smart Camper for my 24 Chevy Colorado ZR2. I thought I'd put it together and bring you guys along. There's a million videos online on how to put these together, reviews, all kinds of things. So I think I'm just gonna put this together and we'll talk about it when we get it done. So this is not real difficult. I spent more time probably reading the directions than actually doing the things. When you get to this front panel and the back one, I suppose, they come with these little plastic clamp deals. And it's kind of a two-part, pull the bolt out of it with the washers and it comes apart. In the front panel, this goes through the hole in both the front and the side panel or the roof. This goes over it, and then you put the nut back together. They're a little tricky to hold it all in place by yourself. Now, mind you, I just had my knee replaced like 2 months ago, hence rolling around in a chair this much, which is not a bad idea anyways. But these are not. It says use 2 people, 3 people, whatever. You could do it by yourself. The side panels are definitely heavier than the front panels. The roof doesn't weigh much. None of it's, more than, 50 pounds a panel, something like that. So we'll get it done, but it is a little tricky to kind of hold the corner together while you're getting it threaded. Put all this in loose and go back and snug it together later. All together, and we are all torqued down to specs. So the only thing left to do before we put it on the truck is to install the gasket. And I watched a lot of videos, probably some of you are going through the same process on this cap before I bought it. I've seen some improvements that they've made along the way. The biggest ones seem to be with these latches, that they've got some rubber covers on them so they don't freeze up, but they've also got a way to get to open them from the inside. I think people were sleeping in their caps when they're camping. This is a 5-foot bed, so probably not for me, but they couldn't get out once they did. So they made some good improvements. But something I've noticed here, if you look close, I'll try and get you guys a close-up. There's a little tab here. Guys were saying when you started this, and maybe they had this on before in the videos I watched, didn't know it, but this little tab pinches this rubber gasket as you go around and holds it in place so it doesn't peel off. I'm gonna take some denatured alcohol, wipe this down so it's clean for the adhesive. They say very specifically, don't use acetone or anything harsh. Denatured alcohol is pretty mild. We're gonna clean it up, stick this down, and then my truck is sitting outside and it's like 90 something degrees out, so I'm gonna back it in and let it cool off before we start working on that. I've got a ladder rack on it I've got to take off, so I'll go ahead and get this gasket on, and then I'm gonna go bring the truck in and go inside for a little bit while it cools down. So this is what I think guys are talking about. This one, oh, look at that. So they say in the directions to bend this tab up on a 45-degree angle, push it on. The minute I bent that, it broke off. That's frustrating. They're pretty proud of the quality of these things, and quite honestly, I'm a little frustrated with it. So I guess we're gonna put some clamps on here to kind of hold this stuff in place. God, they're not even gonna reach back here. Nope. Tape. I'll figure something out. Come get you guys later. It's the next day now. So I walked away from this. I needed to let some of these things dry. This rubber D-gasket is a little bit frustrating. It started peeling apart and the tab broke off, the corners are hard, and everybody tells you this will be a little tricky, so fine, but they don't account for the tab breaking and the rubber peeling apart. Also, I've seen a couple guys, including SmartCap on their website, say you may need a little super glue on the corners. So I put some on there, but it just doesn't stay in place. You know, you can't sit there and hold it for 2 hours while the glue dries, but a bucket of nails can. So anyways, I got this glued up and then I walked away from it to let this glue dry. Seems to be holding. And I think once the cap is screwed down to the bed of the truck, it'll be fine. So what I'm gonna try and do, because I do all of this stuff by myself for the most part, they suggest 4 people. Well, do with what you got. I'm gonna get this flipped over, and I believe that the rack on the top has got a T-track that I can put either the hooks here off my ladder rack, or I've got some other ones, and I am fortunate enough to have an overhead lift in my shop here that runs down this big beam. We can pick it up and set it right down. So flipping this over might be a little tricky, but I think we can manage. I was hesitant to flip this up this way, but then I watched a SmartCap video, and this is literally how they were doing it in the video. So on the side, and they did it with one that had glass windows in it, so not too worried. Oh yeah, this will work fine to pick it up by the T-track. Kind of makes me cringe a little bit. One time I was installing a stereo in a work van, and you had to cut out a trim according to what model you had to fit in a Ford van, and I was doing it on my lap because I was like 20. The knife slipped and went through and stabbed myself in the leg, needed a bunch of stitches. So even though that's not going to happen here, it still gives me the willies a little bit. Well, I thought that was going to be one of the hard parts, but turns out it wasn't. That's nice. I'm gonna wash this up a little before we get going. Glass cleaner is all. Now, I watched the guy do his video, and he didn't like the gasket that they give you. I'm not sure I do either, so he wound up putting a different one, and I bought it. I cannot remember the name of the guy's channel, so if you're watching, sorry. But I did buy this off a link in his video. I'll put it in mine as well. It's just a little thicker rubber gasket for the front here. I think it'll seal it off a little better. Mine does have the bed liner on it. I don't think his did, but I don't think there's any thickness to this. I want to make sure we get a good seal up here. Should work. Let's throw this on there. Rough surface here. I'm not sure it's gonna do me too much good, but for the 5 seconds it takes, might as well. Well, after a trip to Menards here for some hardware and a cold brew, as one does, I think I've got what I need. So I got these little angle brackets here. These are metric, was the problem. But that'll work real well. Put a carabiner on it, and we'll use a strap. So I almost forgot, there's some little rubber tabs that go either side of the mounting hole here. Kind of hold this so you don't squish the cap too tight or the gasket. I got them in, if you were worried. Let's see, I want to get this a little further forward. Okay, I guess it's on. It might be perfect. I don't want it perfectly tight on the cab because I don't want it to rattle or rub or any of the things. I think that's pretty good. Well, this is pretty cool. So to give you the same mounting hardware to mount these to the bed. Well, here it is. It's on, it's done. I got it all bolted down. It's raining outside, otherwise I'd take you guys out and take a look. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a well-built cap. steel, it's different than what I'm used to. All I've ever had is fiberglass ones, and I had some aluminum like contractor boxes. This is definitely a different deal. It's hard to say, you know, how awesome the thing is because I've had it on my truck for about 8 minutes and I haven't used it for anything. I'm sure we'll do some videos on that down the road, but if this is something you're debating tackling yourself, it's really not that hard. A little frustrating, a little this and that, but it doesn't take a lot of skill, it doesn't take a lot of tools, and it doesn't take a lot of time, you know. I split this up over 2 afternoons, but you could pretty easily get it done in, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. If you had someone to help you, that would definitely speed it along. Anyways, before I ramble on, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope it was useful for any of you considering a SmartCap for your truck. I like it so far, but more to come. We'll do some improvements. I want to look at some bins. This thing's got mole, I don't know, mole panels. Mole was some kind of Mexican food, but I don't even know what those are, like a glorified pegboard. So we'll figure out how to use those things, get this thing set up, and I hope you guys will come along with. We'll see you then.